Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and I'm here with the third video in a series of three about Mercury retrograde. This particular retrograde I am recording this about happened in July and August 2025. And I decided to do these videos because we knew there would be a lot of news because Mercury stationed on a world point suggesting there would be big stories in the sign of Leo that they would be dramatic. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for people, especially people really serious about astrology, who really are enthusiastic about learning how these things work or becoming professional astrologers or already professional astrologers and giving them food for thought about how things show up in this cycle. And yeah, so that's what the purpose of this video is. The first video was about the retrograde mechanics of a retrograde cycle and talking about how they show up, the details, and you can go and watch that if you haven't seen it yet. And then I talked about my predictions made last year for Kepler College about how Mercury retrograde would show up this year. And I did pretty darn good. I'm just going to tell you that. So, but I did the first video before Mercury went retrograde, but when it was still in the shadow period, when we were starting to see things emerge. And I talked about some of the stories that may be coming up during that time. Then the second video was after Mercury went retrograde. And one of the biggest stories of the actual retrograde was about the Coldplay Kiss Cam. It was so in line with the energy of the chart of the retrograde and some things about the predictions I've made. So anyway, but there were a whole bunch of other things. Oh, and Ghislaine, the Epstein stuff is a big thing about this retrograde cycle. And I called it Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, the first video. Yeah. And anyway, this is the third video. Mercury's gone direct. And I'm going to be talking about the things we saw when Mercury went direct. Now we're still in the retrograde shadow, so things will still be emerging. I'm thinking this will be my last video, but if something bonkers happens, maybe I'll do one more. But I'm calling it double entendres with the big balls. And you see the planes, trains, and automobiles. So this is me, Celeste Brooks. You can read, pause, and read my stuff. I am a certified astrologer now. That's something I got my certification during the retrograde cycle. Hopefully, I won't do something where they take it back. Oh my God. Yeah, because I got it in the but I finished my qualifications when it was direct, but I just got my certificate during the retrograde cycle. So no, they're not taking it away. Anyway, but on the spiritual level, I'm going to focus on the mundane world, which is mundane astrology is astrology of worldly events as above, so below, how the astrology shows up in the headlines. I'd love talking about that because astrology really is a language and people have been studying it for thousands of years and watching these cycles just repeat, repeat, repeat. So, but on the spiritual level, these retrogrades are a beautiful thing. They're sacred pauses where the cosmos rewinds so we can realign. And we always learn things about ourselves, whether you're paying attention or not. Oh my God, I learned so much. I mean, there were some painful things because retrogrades pull back the tape so you can see what's underneath about things that need to be dealt with. Yeah, or recognized. Before I jump in, I'm giving a free webinar called Anchored in the Storm, Eclipse Season Insights and Tools. This eclipse season is very intense, very emotional. So it's in the September 2025. I wanted to have a free webinar so people, regardless of whether they can afford it or not, can join and be in community, learn some things. And I'll do as many hot take natal readings as I can. And you can sign up at astrologybyceleste.com. I'll put a link in the the description as well. But just a reminder, retrogrades there's a potential for life-changing events. The thing that happened the day Mercury went retrograde was that CEO and his HR woman caught having an affair, blew up in the news, and that's video two. You can go into about that. But it is good to have these, be aware on your calendar, these times, and be mindful with Mercury, which rules communication, commerce, and transportation. Just be extra mindful about those themes. I mean, Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year, approximately for 3 weeks, is the actual retrograde phase. But you can't, life doesn't stop, but being aware that this cycle is known and it repeats and repeats and repeats and again for delays, reversals, conflicts, disagreements, secrets revealed, all these things, erratic events and mistakes, the collapse of something contemplated. Just because something was, I mean, and life goes on. People do things all the times in Mercury retrogrades, but there will always be something that's of the nature of it. And it depends on the person's natal chart about how serious it is. Yeah. So again, Mercury rules communication, commerce, and transportation. You can also think about birds or mercurial, things that fly. Mercury rules the hands, it's dexterous, our thought processes, and the lungs. And it went retrograde in Leo. Leo is a fire sign. It's fixed fire. It's dynamic. It's radiant. It's entertaining. It's dramatic. It can be arrogant and vain as well, but these are some of the archetypes: the queen, royalty, celebrities, leaders. These are Leonic figures. Leo is the special ones, like in the Golden Child. Yeah, the special ones. Aquarius is the group. And so they're on an opposite. Leo's opposite Aquarius. Aquarius is fixed air. Leo is fixed fire. And on the each side of Leo is Cancer's on one side, Virgo's on the other. So you can think about how Virgo is kind of like ordinary people, the workers who do the work. Leo, I've already explained. Cancer leading into Leo is this creative in terms of birthing, nurturing sign. Fertile is a better word for Cancer. It's a fertile water sign. And once you've like say you get this big idea and it's like your baby, like Taylor Swift's album, and then it's when it's birthed into Leo, and then it's got that special one thing going on. Yeah. And then it's out there, it's created, and then you Virgo, you go to work like with the details, the organization, doing your all the things you do in order to make it the planning and the step by step kind of thing. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah. So this was a chart when Mercury went retrograde. I went all through this, and I'm not going to do it again in the first video. So you can watch the first video. Like, not every Mercury retrograde is the same. It depends on the sign it's in, what aspects are being made, and whatnot. So this part of this was giving people understanding how to delineate Mercury retrograde. Now, one thing that's really important that is that it's stationed retrograde in Leo, which rules entertainment, and it was sextile Venus in Gemini. Venus rules relationships and money. Gemini is communication as well. Mercury is at home in Gemini. So this Venus is actually moving faster at this time because Mercury's stationing retrograde. But Gemini wants Mercury because that's where its home sign is. So they are in, Mercury is being received by Venus. That's interesting point to make because when Mercury went direct, now this is the chart for when Mercury went direct. This is the meat of what we're talking about. I called this planes, trains, and automobiles, which is really interesting now that I wrote this before we found out Donald Trump was going to meet Putin and have the U.S. military roll out the red carpet on their hands and knees. This was in the Mercury direct shadow, but a meeting was announced when Mercury was retrograde. Had U.S. soldiers on their hands and knees in Alaska rolling out the red carpet for Putin, a murderous dictator. And they went in the Beast together, which is the president's automobile. And wonder if trains is going to be coming up from that meeting. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, this is the chart set to Washington, D.C. You set mundane charts to the country's capital. And the ascendant is at 13 degrees of Cancer, which is the US sun. So the US identity, the US and it's the US identity, and the sun is also an archetype of leaders. And Jupiter is there. Jupiter protects. It's the largest planet thought to protect from space junk. Jupiter is exalted, lifted up, has a special seat at the table in the sign of Cancer. You can think about how Putin was treated, a pariah, a war criminal who's there's warrants out for his arrest. And Venus is moving to conjunct Venus. Venus rules relationships. And so there's this big theme about the United States, its people, relationships, protection, and all this water. And there's a fixed star called Sirius, which is one of the most famous fixed stars. It's the only star brighter than Sirius is the sun. It's called the shining one in the scorcher in Egypt, ancient Egypt. When Sirius was rising, the Nile would flood over the banks, and it was a good sign of fertility, and that yeah, it's fertility. It was welcomed. Yeah. Now it's also called the dog star, and it can be known for dog bites. Yeah, there was a sad story that happened right around when Mercury went direct, where this woman was mauled by her own dog. Yeah, and when Mercury went retrograde, so these two charts work together. There's themes, you'll find stories in both of them. When Mercury went retrograde, Mars was conjunct the South Node in the sixth house, and the sixth house rules small pets. Mars and Mercury both rule dogs. Like Mars, dogs made for defense. Mercury, dogs more for companionship, but conjunct the South Node. So I'm sure that woman who got mauled to death by her dog has stuff probably has stuff at 15 and 14, if not Leo in the fixed signs. Very sad story. But anyway, but I'm calling this planes, trains, and automobiles, and I just realized this today about Putin's meeting with the president of the United States. Okay, so that's a big thing and a big theme. And I called my podcast, the Celestial Insights podcast, available wherever you listen. It drops every Sunday. So on August 10th, I called it Flooding the Zone. And part of it was because all of this water imagery and Sirius being active, and the thing about the Nile. And astrology is a language. Now, another big theme about when Mercury went direct for the United States, Mercury's stationing to go direct in the second house of the United States chart. So this brings themes of money, themes of, because the second house is the house of resources. Now we know like a lot of the tariffs are going are set and done. And yeah, so there's themes about how they're impacting commerce, a mercurial thing. This week it was announced we're a few days after the retrograde station direct, but it's most intense 5 days before, 5 days after. But until August 26th, 25th, we're still in the post shadow where Mercury's gone over this ground. It went pre-shadow, retrograde phase, post-shadow. The same ground three times. Now, oops, I lost my track of thought. Okay. And another big theme is Mars in Libra. Mars rules conflict. It's Mars pursues. Mars strives. And Libra is associated with peace and diplomacy. And when Putin and Trump met, the headline on the banner behind them was pursuing peace. And Mars is, which also rules war, so is opposite Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. So this meeting was under the was supposedly to bring peace, a peace summit without Ukraine. There was absolutely nothing that was agreed to or was announced afterwards. It was just a big photo op for Putin where he got the red carpet rolled out for him. Think about Leo, the drama. Where did you have red carpets? Like at the Oscars. American military on their hands and knees rolling out the red carpet for Putin. Unbelievable. A war criminal. He got this Saturn and Aries type person, this violent, brutal authority Saturn who uses violence, Aries, to get what he wants. And there was all this theater Neptune glamorizes around this Mars. And the meeting was announced to the public the day Mars was exactly opposite Saturn. And notice the moon, when it goes direct, is in the sign of Pisces, which rules homeless people, people who prisoners, people who are in a state of powerlessness or helplessness or need help. It also rules the mentally ill, drug addicted people, alcoholics, all that. And near the North Node, which rules groups. Now, announced on the day Mercury went direct was Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. Now, Showgirl gives that Leo energy, the Mercury station direct on 15 Leo, sextile Venus in Gemini. It's like her words about this album. And it's really her full moon in Aquarius story. It was delayed a couple of days. The full moon in Aquarius across her north node in Aquarius and her south nodes in Leo. The full moon was at 17 degrees. I think her nodes maybe at 16. It's right there, or 18. It's right there within a degree. But that's Taylor Swift's full moon story. Look what I have here. A present, Venus, for my fans. Yeah. My song. And it's how interesting. After a drought of 555 days, that's just interesting. Now, these are the tracks, and it's really interesting that one of them called Ruin the Friendship is thought to be about Blake Lively. And there's some big story. I don't know all the details about how Blake Lively was in this movie with this guy and they're suing each other over all sorts of stuff. And supposedly Blake Lively wanted Taylor Swift and kind of even threatened to release her text messages to her. This is gossip. Gemini and Libra are both associated with gossip. And yeah, And you can go back and look at when Mercury even went retrograde, this sextile threatening like to pull the tape back so people could see what's underneath in Taylor Swift's text messages to her to her friend. You can think about friends are an Aquarius topic, but they also there's themes of people who are close to you, like almost like siblings or Gemini. Yeah, this big friendship going kablooey associated with that Mars in Libra, like a relationship. A Libra rules one-on-one relationship. So like this close best friends is a Libra topic. Aquarius is more of your acquaintances, but we think of the air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, all have to do with they're humane. They have to do with our interactions with other people. Yeah. And Libra is not just our love partners, and Gemini is not, it's our siblings, our neighbors, our community, people close to us. But there's a nature of Gemini with this. Anyway, here we go with my tangents. Okay, so that's that story. And the whole thing, I might do a different video about because like the tracks are so related to the energy. Yeah. But this is the big story that impacts the most people about this retrograde. We know that the president of the United States, there's this desire, it's been talked about extensively and people are nervous about him doing military law, militia law, what's it called? Martial law, sorry. But this is a story that's really important, and it's all about Mercury retrograde. So this guy is named something, but his nickname, oh, here is Edward. Edward's nickname, he's a Doge staffer. So he worked for Elon Musk and for the US government, like pulling all our information out of the US databases for things we don't know exactly all the things they're going to do with our data. He's like a hacker type, a computer programmer type, uh, and his nickname is Big Balls. Why I do not know and don't need to know, but anyway, it was reported, and this is that a group was trying to attack a woman to carjack someone. I assume her. I don't know all the details, but he wound up getting beaten up. So there was an attempted carjacking. Cars are mercurial, and they were going to, or they may have stolen a phone. Phones are mercurial, retrograde. They're problems, accidents, and it's not a surprise. Mercury rules thieves. Uh, and this speaks to that sextile in a way as well. So, and this was the day, I have words of the day that are posted every day on Instagram, and they're in my podcast. They're the podcast words of the day. The Celestial Insights podcast drops every week wherever you listen. Apple, Spotify, all the things. You can go to my website, astrologybyceleste.com, to get a link to the Podbean, and you can pick your favorite podcaster to listen to it. But it's called Celestial Insights Podcast. And on this day, when this happened on August 3rd, the moon in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius can be lawless, was opposite Uranus and Gemini. And I got the image when I was doing my podcast about sideshows. This is where people enraging. They drive around in circles in intersections, spinning their tires and all of that thing. So I wrote about reckless risk taking. Da da da. This is what I wrote for that day, and this is what happened. He got beaten up, and one of the people, they only caught two people, so they said something like it was a group of 12. They got two people, two 15-year-olds, a 15-year-old girl beat this man up. It's just terrible. Named Big Balls. But anyway, Elon Musk talks about Trump federalizing DC, and then Janine Pirro, this Fox News host, is now something in the government, and I think she's a judge at some point she was, but she's promoting making um, 14-year-olds putting them in like adult prisons, changing the age of responsibility. So this is one of the things this government wants to do, put 14-year-old kids, and they're black and brown kids who did this, and wants to be putting them in adult jails. That's one of the big pushes that was announced leading right up to this. And that's one of the big things that's going on that has a big impact. You know, a 14-year-old gets caught up, and I mean, some 14-year-olds commit horrible crimes, but should they be getting an adult record? You know, peer pressure pushes you into something like this. Now your life is all ruined. Yeah. Anyway, that's one of the things. But a secondary thing, there's this big push to, and this is in red states, make the age of consent 14 so that people can marry 14-year-old girls and um, yeah, and have sex with 14-year-old girls and it not be a crime anymore. So there's this big push to make younger and younger people adults so that they can be put to work in fields and wherever, Jack in the Box or wherever, so that they can be, if they're black or brown, put in prison, and if they are criminals, and so that they can be sexed up if they're by older people. So, and there's also Trump wants the homeless out of DC, and there we've been seeing things about clearing homeless encampment. So that North Node and Pisces, that's a big story about this as well. And yeah, there's this thing called home rule. There's a lot about DC I'm not going to get into, but it's really big about federalizing DC. And look at this at the chart, Saturn and Neptune at the top of the chart. Saturn in Aries is in the sign of its fall, and it overdoes the authority. And Neptune, it's also has themes of um like there's a masquerade going on, like this was all pre-planned, but this gave them an excuse to do this, and it's government overreach to have, they're like tanks going through and armored vehicles going through DC, and some people are very angry about it and protesting because in a democracy you're not supposed to have tanks in the streets. But this is the biggest story. Now, there are other stories. This is kill the messenger. Mercury is the messenger. Mercury retrograde, you take the messenger away. 5 journalists were killed in by the IDF in Israel. They're saying someone was a Hamas operative, but this is horrible. 5 journalists being killed. Um, yeah. And then Donald Trump fired the person who reports on unemployment because unemployment numbers were high, and that was right before the full moon. So August 1st was when the numbers were announced, and then we found out who the new person or something was around when Mercury went direct. So now I don't know how this person's going to sugarcoat. I mean, lots of jobs are going to be lost with the South Node in Virgo. I'm not, and we're having a solar eclipse at 29 Virgo, and that's going to be more news of job losses. But he's got someone who's going to sugarcoat the numbers the way he likes. Oh, what happened? Uh, What happened? Okay. I don't know what happened. I do not want to hit that thing. Okay. That's interesting with Mercury stationing direct in the second house. So there's this new thing where the Nvidia, the biggest chip maker, AI chip maker, and AMD, these are companies are going to be sharing their revenues for anything they export in terms of their chips with the US government. It's unprecedented, and there's concern about this, but I'm not going to get into it because I'm already talking too long. But this is something that was announced on the day Mercury went direct, this communication. It's what are they going to use this for? But this speaks to the second house. This happened the day Mercury went direct, and it's like the whole chart. So in France, swarms of jellyfish. Jellyfish are like these blobs in and they're very like and this it's massive, this massive swarm. This is partially due to climate change. And they got caught on the caught on the filter drums of this nuclear power plant so that the water couldn't flow through and so that it had to be shut down. And this really speaks to also Mars a couple days before Mercury went direct. Mars you're trying to go forward. Mars is the gas, Saturn is the brake. This is very Mars opposite Saturn because of Venus, Jupiter, like these massive jellyfish. You can think about Venus rules like jelly we eat. Um, and they're in Venus and Jupiter are in Cancer in a water sign. And Jupiter expands things, Jupiter's big things, clobbed together, like they united together and stopped the water from going through this filter. This Mars stopped the power. Opposite Saturn and Neptune rules the ocean. It's just very literal, and it was unpredictable. And Uranus and Gemini. This is part of what we're dealing with for the next 7 years in terms of while Uranus is in Gemini. It's going to go back for a few months into to Taurus, but like daily life or things are just interrupted like all the time by different things like power outages or like with climate change, like with the earth getting hotter and hotter, things it's causing chaos on so many different levels in terms of like buildings, steel is being impacted and all these kinds of different things, but that's one of the stories. Okay, this relates to I talked a lot about in the first video about how when Mercury went retrograde in Leo, Leo rules entertainment. And that Jupiter Venus conjunction and the moon being in Pisces, the North Node in Pisces, torrential Midwest flash floods turned the state fair into a water park, shut down airports and roads. So this brings together, the travel problems with Mercury retrograde, but it also brings together that flash floods. This is also Flooding the Zone was the name of the podcast. This happened like the day before, Sunday, August 10th, Mercury went direct. But it's very related to the specifics of Leo, Mercury retrograde in Leo. And Air Canada flight attendants are on strike. It was announced 2 days after Mercury went retrograde. They were told they have to go back to work. But a travel shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of people were impacted by these the flash floods because all these flights were canceled, delayed, all this kind of stuff, and this. So two big things related to transportation aligned with Mercury retrograde. The day this was happened on the day on the 11th, but was reported on the 12th. Two Chinese ships were chasing a Philippine boat and they collided into each other. A plane crashed on the day into a parked aircraft, another aircraft. Very dramatic, these Leonic things. And then this school bus and just some other stories about transportation accidents. Now, this is really important as well. So, for this meeting with Putin, this guy, Steve Witkoff, is a real estate guy, doesn't speak Russian, was sent in April over to Russia, relying on the translators from the Kremlin. I mean, there's stuff going on that is really nerve-wracking about this administration where competence is not a requirement to have a job, it's loyalty. And we are going to be seeing again and again and again the consequences of these things over the next several years. And apparently, he misunderstood something Putin was offering and communicated it incorrectly to the Trump administration, leaving them with egg on their face about this meeting coming that happened yesterday that I'm taping it, and there was nothing agreed to. There's no press conference. It was 10 minutes. I mean, this is really embarrassing, this meeting, and it's getting very bad press. So anyway, that was the day before Mercury went direct. I'd gotten a psychic hit that someone was going to be outed during this Mercury retrograde, and it was Lindsey Graham. This right-wing influencer testified back in June, but it made news like the 14th, that 2 days after that he's that he's supposedly gay. She testified under oath that he's gay, and people have been saying that for years. And yeah, and you can see with this. So if you're looking at this, let's look at this. If you look at when Mercury went retrograde, Saturn in Aquarius is on the 11th house, which was Congress, and Saturn Neptune conjunction, like his secrets being revealed and about relationships when, and now it's up at the top of the chart when, and Mars was opposite it at this time. So this is a Mercury retrograde, secrets being revealed. Ah, it's it's clicking this article. That's the problem. I need to use this. So that, and then, I've been talking about the Nobel Peace Prize and how Trump wants it. And there's things going on in his chart. Jupiter is stationing on his Venus, and which was his midheaven, his career, and his Saturn, which I looked at the chart. He might be getting this Nobel Peace Prize. And I said weeks ago that I thought it would be about NATO, that he would threaten Europe with we're getting out of NATO or something if you don't give me this peace prize. But that may happen, but it was revealed that he called in July, so during either the retrograde shadow, the pre-retrograde shadow, or during the actual retrograde. It would be interesting to know what the date was, that he called the Norwegian minister, just picked up his phone and called this man and told him he wants the peace prize. And there's this implied threat about, if you don't give it to me, your tariffs are going to go up because it's not set for Norway. So yeah, this is what our president is doing with the position and the power, demanding prizes, demanding awards. Venus, Jupiter. He wants this partner, Norway, to pressure the committee in order to Jupiter rules awards, to give him this award for, I mean, the war in Gaza's, I mean, it's horrific what's going on over there, and it's getting worse. There's news that they're going to take the Palestinians and send them to South Sudan. Israel's negotiating with South Sudan to take their land and send them over there so they can build the Riviera. the Gaza Riviera. It's really bad. This has been a huge story about Ghislaine Maxwell. She was supposed to testify on August 11th, but she said she wouldn't unless she got immunity. And the congressional committee was not going to give her immunity. So it's postponed indefinitely. Retrogrades delay, and there can be the collapse of what was contemplated. So we'll see if she ever testifies, but she was going to just plead the fifth if she didn't get immunity or some other things. Now, what she did get is a new home, and in the first video, she was moved to a lower security prison. In the first video, I talked about how she could be going home because Mercury stationed on her moon, which rules the home and the fourth house of the home, and near her, I think it was near her natal Mercury, but it really she negotiated a a um a relocation to, we assume to keep quiet. Yeah. Yeah, she was offered commission she got conditional immunity during Mercury retrograde. And it's to keep quiet about because we know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Yeah. Okay, so those were the things I really wanted to highlight. Two big events coming up. I am teaching a 3-day intensive about predictive astrology at the OPA retreat, and it's in Park City, Utah. Email me if you want to go. I have a discount code. Well, I guess I can put it here. It's because if you listen this long, well, email me, Celeste at astrologybyceleste.com. We don't want to put the discount code on what do you call it, social media. So I can give you a discount code for this for $55 off. It's going to be phenomenal. You'll learn all about solar arcs, transits, secondary progressions, and more perfections. A lot of things, and the final will build a forecast for our next year. Yeah. And then I'm speaking at the Kepler Symposium. This you can come to live, or this is September 4th through 7th. This is October 15th through 19th. Or you can do this online. I'm talking about relating in the Aquarian age. I'm giving a presentation. So think about this. This is in Niagara Falls. This is going to be really wonderful. And they're just fabulous faculty and other things as well. If you don't want to do my thing, I think these are wonderful opportunities to be in community and learn and whatnot. Yeah, you can go to my website and download my free guide as well as sign up for the free webinar. And you'll see on my shop page this digital calendar created by my friend Tiffany Herlick. She's an amazing astrologer, and every year she does this calendar, and every year it gets better and better. She puts in the Sabian symbols as well as now she does the lunar phase families, and really it's incredible. And you can use my coupon code ABC 2025 or ABC 2026, depending on the year you want, for $10 off. You go to yskiescalendar.com on the astrology calendar tab. Where to find me? Astrologybyceleste.com. Get on my mailing list. I don't send out that much. You can listen to the Celestial Insights podcast for weekly guidance. You can join the wait list for my classes. Actually, transits for Kepler College starts September 15th. I'm going to be teaching some classes on my own. I need to get my act together and get them ready. But you can come to me for a reading, a consultation. I also do mentoring and coaching. So if you're an astrologer and just want to talk about technique, I can do the mentoring with you. But if you want coaching to like unpack something in your life or work on your goals, I have over 25 years of experience in sales, marketing, business development, and leadership. I'm really a great creativity co-creation partner. Absolutely. And I'm on Instagram Live Wednesdays at 10 a.m., Fridays at 1 p.m. But Fridays now, that's when I do my cosmic conversation. I'm moving them to what I'll do is I'll record them on StreamYard and stream them to Instagram and YouTube. So that's changing a bit, but I think I'm going back to, I tested doing my Astro and Oracle on that platform, and it's not as intimate. I want to be more intimate with the Astro and Oracle. So I'll go back to my phone on Instagram and then upload it to YouTube. So I'm on all these socials. My main platform is Instagram and YouTube. I'm on Facebook, but I don't do much there. TikTok, I put all my moon memos. Threads, I do kind of like my psychic downloads and writing and just kind of a little creativity. Sometimes I get a little wild, whatever. I let myself express myself. And Blue Sky, I just can't keep up with everything, but I try to do stuff on Blue Sky too, but it's just too much. So that's what I wanted to share. I hope you found this useful. If there are things you want, oh, I forgot to tell at the beginning. I'm supposed to tell you to subscribe to my channel, please, and like and comment. Shoot. Well, anyway, I'm telling you it now. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow it and be more consistent here. And the more people, the more, the more you juice me up, the more likely I'll be doing stuff here. And yeah, let me know any things, topics. You can put topics you want to hear about, and I'll do them if I can. But right now, I'm so booked, and yeah, but I'll try. Yeah, I've just got so much going on. I'm a board member for OPA, the astrology organization, as well as we're figuring out our speakers for next year. I have my own clients and I do readings and I'm teaching for Kepler and I'm traveling for these conferences. So it's just a lot on my plate. I have to take care of little Debo and my boo and whatnot and myself. So I do as much as I can. So if you've listened to this point, thanks for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a beautiful day. The Celestial Insights podcast is dropping tomorrow. And so, yeah, we'll see how that shows up next week. Someone requested like I do a video about how it showed up, and I'm gonna start that. It's just when. Okay, take good care.